So I am Ilani. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for listening. And I thank so many of you in this room for coming to talk and ask questions. I am a guest here. I started off as an uninvited guest, and I became Ohana here. So I have family here. But I want you for a moment, I want everybody to just take a moment and really dig deep within yourself. Where did you come from? Where did your ancestors come from? What did they eat? What did they survive from? What did they hold sacred? What did they sing sacred? I think a lot of people don't understand the complexity of the indigenous people of this land because they don't know their own. It's hard to know sacredness of sacred songs, of sacred dance, of ceremony, if you don't practice it yourself. It's been a long journey for me here. I am Kanakamole, practicing my practices here on Northern Pomo land. A lot of learning I've had to do, and a lot of humbleness I've had to learn, and a lot of hard skin I've had to learn as well, because there's a lot of trauma here. But there's also a lot of, don't say it really happens. I have a beautiful, diverse family, and the journey has not been easy. I also used to live in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That journey was about the same. It was a tough journey, especially when you don't look like predominantly the most people in that area. It comes with a lot of issues, and a lot of things that are unsaid, which is there's a lot of toxicity still within the soil and the air of this land that we all have a responsibility of fixing. And changing a name, to me, is just a small way of creating some deep healing that needs to happen. And I wasn't going to speak here unless I could come with a person of this land, with a poem. Because how can I say anything about their land without them being here? So I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our journey, my Ohana's journey here. What I saw on the computer was not what I saw here immediately. It was hard to get a job. There was a lot of tension with my children being brown. I'll tell you about this one, but I won't mention the store name at this time. When my husband applied, and he's sitting in the audience here, he's a beautiful, amazing, talented black man, and he applied at a company. And she said, "I'm sorry, we're not taking any more applications." And something just didn't sit right within my belly, so I applied. He has more expertise in working in retail than I do, and he didn't get the job. So when I applied, I got the job on the spot. And it wasn't because of my charm, because I wasn't very nice. But I think it was the color of my skin. So I said, "That's funny, I have to tell you a story." My husband, who was just in here yesterday, said that you said, "You're no longer taking any applications." "Oh, really? I don't know why I would have said that." "Oh, somebody else would have." I said, "No, it was you." And she was very stoic looking. Then I realized, there was a deeper problem here. There was a problem that a lot of people didn't see because they didn't have the skin my Ohana had. They didn't have the skin color, the kinky hair. He wasn't the crazy Hawaiian who wanted to come and call everybody out on their BS or their unkindness, but I also would hug you just as quick as anybody too. I would love you as hard as I would talk very brash and honestly to you about the toxicity that some folks carried. I saw it very clearly in the school district on how my children were treated. But in the cracks, I saw beautiful people. beautiful, amazing people that I wove deep connections with, deep safety connections with, that I know that they would have my family, including a few teachers who had my children, who looked after my children, protected my children, spoke up for my children. But it wasn't as many as I would have hoped to have. So the journey was hard, but not as hard as the people of this land. That was a very little itty-bitty hardship for me and my opponent to experience compared to the atrocity of the people of this land continue to experience, continue to be burdened with. And they are very humbled, beautiful, amazing human beings that are so resilient. So I don't think I need to introduce and say all the things, say so many things about this amazing human that I'm about to have her come up to this podium. I just want to say one thing. That this beautiful creation, Tanda Blue Bear, has been amazing. I have watched her on the internet with her and her crew feed elderly, drive across nations to go and chop wood, bring tents and sleeping bags and everything, not only for her own people here, but across the United States. With a truck, 3 badass human beings, a small cute dog named Shuka, and a whole lot of prayer. So one day, the both of us were having a hard time. She told me what was going on in her life, I told her what was going on with my life, and they showed up. And they have been here helping us at Hakakodele put food in the ground so we can do what we've asked to do for our tribal relatives and grow the food to nourish them. That is our way of giving back. We have a 6-acre Indigenous woman-led farm. It is 6 acres, a fortunate farm. And we lease it to grow food for our tribal relatives here, primarily. Grow medicine for our tribal relatives here. But also for our underserved communities here, our underserved community members here. Tanda and her crew have done this from Sacramento all the way to
the other side of the United States.
The other side of the United States, with a whole lot of prayer. And I could go on and list, but I think most importantly is she is Kashaya Pomo. And her knowledge that she carries about her and her people in this land and about how she feels about change the name of Fort Bragg matters more to me than what I'm saying right now. So I welcome Tanda Blue Bear to the other.
Thank you. Look around you right now. I want you to take a moment to look around. How many Pomo people do you see in this room?
Not many.
About 6 or 7.
That's what happened here. It has continued to happen here. Because if things were really corrected, there'd be more of us than you. But, and a big but, here we are. Me and you, here we are. Fort Bragg. It's a freaking name. To change it is a very, very small piece that would allow us, people like me, to heal. Holding on to it is something I am questioning the sanity of people that want to hold on to. Why? If there was a person in your lineage 5 generations back that was a serial rapist, would you still want us to call you the family of rapists? Would that be your identity for the rest of your life? What about the victim's family? Would you want to be looked at like that from the victim's family also? Because holding on to a name like Fort Bragg, that's what you're doing. It's what the people in this town are doing. Forever Fort Bragg. Sounds a lot like forever rape and pedophilia. Theft and other. Out of all the things that the descendants of the settlers and colonizers have asked us to get over, but it's proven time and time again that the same descendants have a struggle to get over anything. We had to get over it when people came in and changed everything. And by the way, not just changed for the good, destroyed everything. We didn't need saving. We didn't need the lumber mills. We didn't need the fucking stores. But y'all that needed them, not us. We needed to be left alone in peace. That didn't happen, so here we are. I thought about this a lot, because in being an Indigenous woman in America, there are way bigger things than a name change. There are way bigger issues. You see, I have to protect the children, and our women, and now our men, and our natural resources, and the animals, and our elders, and it's a full-time job. When we can talk about the brothels all we want, but I'm going to tell you something. The sex trade against Indigenous people has never stopped. It's still going. It's going right under your noses. These reserves were not reservations. They were prisoners of war camps. We were forced there. Everything was taken from us, our children, our women, our men, our food, our land, our homes, our culture, our language, just the very simple right of existing as a human being amongst everybody else. And if you think it was in the past, it wasn't. We got our rights to exist in 1978. I don't know about you, but I was born in 1976. Where, by the way, my mom had to run off the reservation because of the violence that she was under, running down into towns such as this, where the church swooped her up and took her away, and then sold me to a white Christian family. You're right, you're correct, you heard me. Sold me. These things are still going on because this energy is still here. Fort Bragg is that energy, and it's here. It still sits here. When we pray, we can see it on the horizon. When I go into your stores, in 2024, when I go into your stores, I'm still followed around. This is our land. We should be welcome here too. I'm not saying get out. I'm saying we can work together. I'm saying that I want to be a human being too. I'm saying that I want to feel safe in this country also. Not more than you. Not without you, with you, also, too. And that's not the fact. That's not what happens. I have a daughter who's 25 who doesn't get to go hardly anywhere alone. You know why? Because missing and murdering Indigenous women is a big-ass thing, and it's big over here. Right under your noses. Maybe even by people you know. as if everything else isn't triggering enough as an indigenous person in this white America. The least possible thing that a city could do is change a name. That's one less thing that reminds us of the atrocities that happened and continue to happen. This isn't in the past. This is now. And keeping Fort Bragg says it's okay. It's okay to continue this cycle. It's okay. Fort Bragg, it's okay to be racist. Fort Bragg, it's okay to do sex crimes against Native people. It's okay. This is Fort Bragg. It's okay to hate black people, brown people, and anyone who's not just like you. Fort Bragg. That was what Bragg was about, right? I'm here to tell you now. I'm sure there are a lot of people in this room are for changing the name, but just in case you know somebody that isn't, I want you to tell them this. That horrible man who did horrible crimes against humanity is not your culture. It's not your history. It's not your identity. It's a thing that happened in history. We don't celebrate horrible things that happened in history. We don't need to identify with them. We need to change them. We need to all become cycle breakers. It's not too late. This is one thing. When we think about changing the name of Fort Bragg, think about it changing the name of Fort Bragg, and then what is next? I wonder if settlers worry about what is next. Oh no. If we change the name, oh no, they're going to take everything. No. We are not going to do to you what's been done to us. We're not. It's not in our way. It's not in our teachings. That was a way of them, not us. How many of you guys here own your home in Fort Bragg? You don't have to raise your hand. You know. I don't. I can't even afford to live here. Name change? It's 2024. I'm an activist with a very large following. If we want to boycott Fort Bragg, we will. And then no money will come. Because you see, as Indigenous people, we have found our power. And it's in truth-telling. But we don't want that either. It's so simple. It's so simple. It doesn't need a war. And the people of this town don't need to be fighting and arguing over a name change. What we need to be doing is sitting at the same table and figuring out this together, what we're going to do, because we're all here. Trust and believe the rest of America will be okay if Fort Bragg changes its name. It's not that hardcore to where everybody's going, oh my God, it changed now, I don't know where I'm going. You know, no, it's not going to be like that. It's not. And I know there's some of you that have grew up here, and it's iconic, and I agree. It's like some iconic thing for the people that live here and stuff, and I get it. But the thing is, before everybody got here, our land was iconic. Our names were iconic. And nobody gave a shit. So, when we talk about humanity. Where's the bridge here? There is a bridge here. We can't fight anymore. We have to learn to work together, period. We have to do. Does everybody see what's going on in the world? Like, can the world handle any more violence and chaos? So why can't we just do the simple things? You know, that's not simple to a lot of Native people, though. It's big. Because you know what? Every time we hear Fort Bragg and everybody's going to Fort Bragg, and Fort Bragg's so great, and everybody has t-shirts with Fort Bragg, sweatshirts with Fort Bragg, everywhere is Fort Bragg because we're in California. Fort Bragg's the hot place to go, right? We see genocide, 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 genocide. Remember, little Indian, genocide, genocide, genocide. Keep in check, little Indian, genocide, genocide, genocide. Don't you want to change that? We are forced to conform to almost every single rule and regulation of this America y'all created. Just change the name. You change your name. Somebody said, we were talking today, you change your name at marriage? I don't see nobody petitioning that. You hyphenate it, add a name. Sometimes you drop your name. Sometimes you get older and you just change your whole damn name anyway. But people are so connected to Fort Bragg, more connected than to self. I don't buy it. I think it's just another reason everybody's fighting. But I'm going to tell you something. For us indigenous people, it's a big deal. The people in Fort Bragg, I need a list of just 3 major reasons why it's a big deal. Top, genocide. Top, the destruction of all the resources here. Top, sex slavery. Those are my 3 reasons. What are yours? Because generations don't matter when you're indigenous. Because we got to get over it. We hear it no matter which way we go. Get over it. You were conquered, get over it. Well, we weren't conquered, we're still here. And there's a few real Indians left still. We can come up with something together that suits us all. That's a better fit for us all. Fort Bragg is not a good fit, not for nobody. Unless you are engaging in those same activities, it's not a good fit. It's not even a good fit for children to know. It's not a good fit. We aren't trying to erase things, we're trying to transition. Ain't nobody trying to erase a damn thing. We're trying to grow and move forward. And in order to do that, we must heal. And the first step of healing is to turn off that neon sign that says genocide on it. Now we can maybe walk forward. There's always a compromise. Maybe you're not going to be all happy that it goes one way. Maybe I'm not going to be all happy. Maybe we're all going to come up with the name. Maybe the Native people are going to come up with the name. But maybe you're going to say it needs to be written in English, and that I can deal with. Because neither side is going to be all the way satisfied. But at least both sides can have something to do with the solution that pushes us forward. You know, going forward doesn't mean everybody's happy. But it means that people got together and came up with a solution. Because everything in this America screams genocide. Everything. And we do a good job walking through it. Because we're still here. I'm still here and I'm sober here.
Oh.
Imagine that. It sucks. Because it hurts. And where do we put that hurt? Well, I don't put it down the bottle anymore. I put it in the water now. But we can come up with a solution that works for everyone. Even the guy in the Trump 2024 hat. He's still a person, a human being, whether we like it or not. We need to come together. It doesn't matter political parties. It doesn't matter the left or the right. It doesn't matter. We're human beings and we should have some humanity towards one another and be a real community. A community isn't divided. A community is together. We make decisions together. We find solutions together. We get through the shit together. We get through it. You see, you're here now. We did a class at Hakakadile on seeds and plants, and everybody wants to rip out the invasive species, and I have to look at people and let them know you're the invasive species. Let you hear. So we have to figure out a way that's a little less violent than rip them all out and throw them in the trash can. We have to think of solutions now because these are lives, whether it's plant lives or human lives, these are lives and life is sacred. That's a native thing too. That's what we believe. We don't have major wars, but America's still having major wars. We're not. It's time to come together as a community now. It's time to really sit down and stop just talking about the history, but now we need to find solutions. It's time to press forward as a community. It's time to, when you start talking about it, someone wants to argue, to just silence yourself and move on. They're not ready, but maybe next week they will be, but today they aren't. Instead of continuing the cycle of arguing and fighting and being more divisive. This country is divided right now, bad. Start here. Show the country. Show the country unity. Lead with humanity. Start changing. This is how we grow. Then you'll get some of us that actually want to be at things like this. Rather than feeling that we have to out of a responsibility to be here because someone needs to say these things. And I need to tell you this from a real point of view, so I'm sorry if I'm cussing a little, but I have to tell you real because I'm not a performative person. I'm a real person. I'm a human being. I'm not just an Indian. I'm not just indigenous. I'm not just Homo. I'm human. I'm a human being. And when you take away everything else, all the other labels that everybody else puts on us, I'm a human, just like you. And if something tragic happened to you, I wouldn't parade around your home, shoving it in your face 24 hours a day. If you came to me and said, hey, you know, this guy shot my son, and you keep putting pictures of him in my yard, could you please stop? It's really hurting me. I wouldn't be like, there's mom, do what I want. No, because see, I don't want to keep hurting people. So we would take that down. That's what the name Fort Bragg is. It's adding insult to injury. It's continuing and perpetuating the harm done to indigenous people. Just so you know, the genocide has not never stopped. We are still battling. When Louis says that we travel because we have to. The government starves our people out. There are areas in this country with zero water. The Tanda Nation has no water. Can anybody in here imagine not having any access to water? Having to wait for a water truck to come along and give you your ration. And for the United States to say, well, it's not our responsibility. There are big things going on. We have nowhere to rest. We've been at battle for over 500 years. We don't have nowhere where we have Hakakadili to rest. But other than that, when I came here, the rest of this country is so much, and it's so heavy. I came here to go to Hakakadili, not Fort Bragg. Hakakadili. Because if I didn't get there, I was going to take my own life. Because what's the point? We have to fight for our children still. Basic human rights we're still fighting for. Coming into Fort Bragg is very triggering. The way we are treated in Fort Bragg is not good. And it's partly due to the name. The name gives permission for people to treat people that look like me like shit. It's giving permission. I always told my daughter when her and her friends would call each other bitch and this and that, you know, like playing, and I would always say, don't do that. Not even playing, don't do that. Do not allow people to call you that, because when you allow your friend to call you that, you are allowing everyone else to call you that. Don't do that. That's what Fort Bragg is doing. It's allowing everyone else the right to treat us subhuman, to treat black people subhuman, and like it's okay. These things are not okay. It's 2024. This is not okay. I don't know if this town didn't get the memo or whatnot, but we don't celebrate the Confederacy. We don't celebrate slave owners. Like, what if the tables were flipped? What if it was y'all that we enslaved? Just asking you to dig deep and really put that one on. How would you feel? My daughter's still at risk. Every time we go on the road, we are almost killed. And I mean on purpose. Just for existing. Because of areas that celebrate violence. Areas who hold on to violent histories. Because doing that gives permission for everyone to behave that way. That's why it needs to be changed. Not because I just don't want to see it anymore. Not because, oh, I just want to upset everybody. No. It's because I want the people to stand up and make a stand and say, treating people this way is unacceptable. We're getting rid of this thing. We're going to come together and we're going to do a solution, and we're going to do it for the health and wellness of all people that come through this land. Because that's what being home's like. We welcomed people, and we still got massacred. Understand, we fed and still got massacred. Understand, we knew we were outnumbered and said, okay, we're out of here, and still got shot in our back. But I'm still here. I'm one of the ones who's a descendant of one of the ones who got away. And I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to go anywhere, and I'm not going away. And we can have these talks because I genuinely give a shit about each and every person in this room. Because as human beings, we can do better. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old or 120, we can do better. We can start from right now. We can do better. We can work together. Because guess what? When we start to do that, we're going to create a happier space, a more inviting space, a more everything space. If we were to get into the dollar and cents of it, it just makes sense. Just spend the money to change it. Do you know how much energy will go away of the negative energy? This place will flourish as long as we hold on to this dark history. There's always just a little something creepy about these areas, and I'm not the only one that think it. I've brought so many people here of all different backgrounds, nationalities, and races who all say, I really have fun, except for it's just a little creepy, right? Because they feel that heaviness here. Let's let it go. We have to let the heaviness go. You know what? Violence, rape, murder, all this crap, that's not your identity. And if it is, you might want to turn yourself in because you're not healthy. You're sick. And then I think I was talking to Matilda here, and we were saying, but if all you know is this history, right? That's all you know for 5 generations, and however many generations, right? Maybe you're scared that if we erase one part of it, we're trying to erase you, but I'm here to tell you, you can't be erased. You're a human being, not a marker, not a pencil, not a crayon. And then also, maybe you don't know your roots. Sort of holding on to these ones, but the thing is, just let the dark, violent roots go, and we'll help you. We'll help you find your roots. The good ones. You were born love. Every single one in this room was born love. You were born love. Whether you were born in your homelands or not, you were born love. And you know what? We can take you back to that love, that space of humanity. But we can't do it if you're carrying a shield of genocide. We're not going to. We probably could, but we're not going to. And so, yeah, for me, I feel like there's just a heaviness across the United States. And people may think as Indigenous people we're asking too much. No. Every single thing was taken from us, every single thing. And before anybody says it, I'll say it. But what about the casinos? Okay. So, but anyway, there's not a lot of tribes that get those casinos, and then we have corrupt governments just as you all do. Some tribes are doing very well, but the majority of tribes in this country do not have a casino and do not receive a check. I receive a check. I'm like way rich with my $200 every 3 months. For anybody that wants to get it, misconstrued, we don't get that much, and we get it quarterly. Barely even makes $1,000 a year. So if you think you're missing out on something, go look up Jasmine Sherman, because she's going to do basic income, basic universal income. So go check her out, because if you feel gypped, then you better vote different. Just had to put that in there. And I will be your vice president.
She's serious, just so you guys know.
I am serious. I am serious. But I also believe in leading with humanity, so I don't know if we'll get in there. That's not really popular in this country yet. But we're going to keep speaking. And we're going to keep talking. And no matter how heavy and deep the conversation is, understand that I love you and I care about you. And the only reason we're going over this is because I know you can do better, I can do better, we can do better. We could be friends. We don't have to be scared of each other. But a lot's got to change, and a lot of learning has to happen. A lot of unlearning has to happen. A lot of respect has to happen. A lot of healing has to happen. It's hard for us to heal in this America because we are always on edge. There's always something going on. I don't know about you, but the year's barely started, and I already know over 27 people of our relatives that have been murdered. Anybody else in the room? That's what I'm up against in this America. And most of them are no foul play. It's always no foul play. And it'll be that way until we start to change things. We have to. Our people are diminishing every year. What was it, 7 million of us just a couple years ago. Now we're down to 6 million, maybe less, of us here. Part of it has to do with the permission given by America to treat us like we're nothing. We're not human yet. We're not human yet here. You have to get that through your head first. It's like, we're not human yet. In the eyes of law or the government, we're not. Churches were going up and everybody's just doing what they want. Understand that we just barely got our right to believe how we want that. As everybody's speaking English and whatever other languages they want. Understand that our languages were outlawed. Our children got murdered for speaking their language. And this has been in most of your guys' lifetime. Wasn't so long ago. There's some places in this country where it's still happening. It's still going on. Be the front runner for change. If I can give you any advice, be the front runner for change. Show that a community can get together and make solutions. And make it stick. And you guys think that you're up against these guys, but you're not. You're up against each other. You're up against those guys. Don't just sit in areas where everybody agrees with you. Trust and believe. They already agree with you. Go talk to 3 people this week that do not agree with you. And just be civil when you're talking. If it gets heated, know when to silent down, know when to stop and move forward. This is how change happens. Not sitting in groups of people that agree with us. It's sitting in groups with people that don't maybe agree with us. Because we're going to collaborate, we're going to brainstorm, we're going to get things done now. We're going to hear each other out, and we're going to come to a solution, because that is what a community does. I love you guys, and I expect more, and I know that we can be more. I don't want from you anything that I don't think you can do. And I have to talk like this across the United States.
Good job.
Yeah, but I really believe in human beings becoming human beings, and thanks. I really believe in human beings' ability to become human again. And I believe, I hope it's not far-fetched, but I believe the solutions can happen when people come together. I believe that we can correct the wrongs that have happened one step at a time. And that step, that first tiny little minute step, is a name change. That's a good faith payment. That's saying, hey, we're trying, we see you, we hear you, we feel that pain in your voice, and we want to ease it up a little bit. So let's get all together and go tell everyone we know, and let's sit down at the table and let's figure out something. Even if it means the natives determine what the name is, and then we translate it into English for everybody to understand. Thank you for having me.
Go to the Northern Pomo. I'm Kashaya, so I'm Southern Pomo from Stewart's Point. And so we would want to go to the Northern, Sherwood? Sherwood people and start talking amongst them. And I met a lot of them at this last event, and they're beautiful people. And so I would like to go and maybe sit down and talk with them and just start networking and just say, hey, you know, like what could we do? Like, because I think in order to get really the city to pay attention is to have the solution already going. We can't just go, we want a name change, and they're like, and? So what is it? Oh, well, we don't know. It doesn't work, so we gotta really have it.
Something welcoming, something coastal, something that makes sense.
Something that comes from them. I don't think they need, just my 2 cents. They don't need an introduction on how to name this area.
Right.
And that's welcoming. They need to name this area as they see fit. That's the release of control that you have to do of you have to make it welcoming and make everyone feel it. You actually don't. The Pomo people of this land should call it to empower this land.
Yeah.
We call Hakakodile, which is 6 acres of Fortunate Farm, Hakakodile, to give her power. It's native Pomo. Buffy Schmidt helped translate this name. So I think whatever Pomo people that want to come together and that believe in changing the name, that could come together and create a name.
Absolutely.
And then we translate it, get it translated to the best of the ability. I'm sure Buffy Schmidt can help with that. And you translate it to the best of the ability, but what feels called? That would mean going into prayer and going into talking and having a discussion, not just having discussion, going prayer.
You're both on board.
Yeah, we believe heavily in prayer, and we listen to the land, and that's not just a thing you see in movies. I mean, we really listen to the land, we listen to the wind, we connect with the things, and so, it would really be determined on, what they want to do, but just understand the things that we name them for what they are. My tribe is the people that stand on top of the earth, the red earth. And so a lot of the names are translated, a lot of our tribal names translate to the people in a certain location. And just like Hakakadilla, water through the meadow, because there's literally water through the meadow. It's not having to be Pomos are so great and everybody else crap, because that's not how it is. It would be whatever, the little town by the big water, or whatever, and those kind of things,
And it had a name already.
Right.
This area already had a name.
Right, and even going back to the ancestral name, I mean, if that's something everybody's good with, but I believe.
Which was erased.
What my point was is that we can come to a solution, we can. We can. But there is a lot of patience we have to have with one another while we're doing it.
And it is hard because a lot of people are like, I don't know what people care or whatever. I'm like, you're not thinking of the atrocity they've been through. Why don't they care? Oh my goodness. It's not out of
Sometimes it's too hard to care.
Yeah, they have such a big stuff on their plate that it's people's why do you show up instead of the Pomo people you work with? Because they've already done the work. They've done the work surviving. And I'm an uninvited guest here, and it's my job to do the work. I'm not of this land, so it's my job to do the work, not theirs. They've already done all this work by surviving. And I've gotten to a lot of people of like, oh, wait a second. Well, is it really a big deal? And people of this land too. Is it really a big deal? We have other things to worry about. That's true. I get it. They're Pomo. They're of this land. They don't want the name change. I get it. But I also get where some of that comes from. And really, a lot of us would get it if we realize how much them as a people have been through. Really, there's so much other bigger tasks that be, defending in their life in the name of a town. But it's a micro step into healing. And a lot of people don't realize what a micro step is because they don't know where their root systems are with their own dang family. And they haven't done the work to really figure out who they are, where they came from. What did you suffer from? What did your people suffer from? Were they starving? Were they hungry? Did they get come-on boxes with whiskey and tobacco in it? And highly processed food? That's how I found the people of this land. They still distribute come-on boxes. When I saw the come-on boxes, I was like, holy shit, y'all still do this? To the indigenous people of this land? You still feed them this crap? And everybody in this town still thinks it's okay? So we have 6 acres. Trying to change that shit. On 6 acres. Yeah, I know. Bleep, bleep, bleep. I'm so sorry. On 6 acres.
And remember, Fort Bragg is not a welcoming name either. Fort Bragg is like a very non-welcoming name for indigenous people and black people.
Why do you think we would need, if we, indigenous people, brought back names for this area from the past, or came up with a new name? Why would we need to translate it?
That's just something that, that's just an idea, and then the reason why I'm thinking this is because, and I'll tell you why, has to do with anytime we do try to do something, you got a million people that are the ones actually voting and hold the power and hold all the money and hold all the property and own all the stores that are like, wait a second, no, I have to have something, and I can't pronounce that, so you have to change it. Well, my thing is honestly, it's about collaborating together. It's about finding something together so that we all both together can say that we did that. Not I did that, not just this tribe did that, but we did this. We did this because we're ready to unite. We're ready to start to learn each other. We're ready to start to walk in a more peaceful, healthier way on the earth. It's what the earth needs, and it's what we need. The earth is suffering because of our toxicity. Like that's if you want to get real deep into it, this has to change. And it has to change because look at, we're destroying everything. We're destroying everything. And some people go, well, the name's not. Yes, it is.
Well, I'm thinking of a place in Fresno County, formerly named with the slur for an indigenous woman that starts with an S.
I lived there, Moore Valley.
And now it's Yakutsk.
There's always one that has to say it out loud.
Because I was one that fought against it.
And now it's Yakutsk. And we can pronounce it. We can learn to pronounce it.
Right.
And that may be true, and it may work. It may work, but what we're talking about is is it gonna work? You guys know this town better than we do. I mean, more than I do. This town's too expensive for me to be up in. I mean, just saying, once we were kicked out, we didn't come back. You see many Pomo people around here? You don't.
Yeah.
The harsh reality is you do not. You don't. We can't afford it here. I would like to see my people feel welcome to come back here.
Other people? We hear from some other people. Anyone else who would like to ask a question?
I just want to make an observation. I know this town is very racist. I have no question about that.
Why don't you use them?
I'll use the mic. I haven't paid attention to all the discussion that's gone on for the last bunch of years in terms of the name changing. How much of the resistance is from people who see their historical families as connected to the logging and fishing? And they want that piece honored as opposed to the Confederate guy that they may not even know about.
We can't cherry pick. That's like people who celebrate Thanksgiving, but not for the genocidal part. The only reason it's around is for the genocidal part. And when we start to cherry pick like that, it's dangerous ground, it's dangerous for our spirit to do those things. We get into this debate every November when we go, okay, you're celebrating genocide, and they go, well, I'm not celebrating it because of that. Okay, I'm celebrating it because of my family. Awesome. Do you understand that, like, they killed all of our families, though? So you're celebrating it. Can I give you the real history on what you're celebrating? So when we start to cherry pick like that, that's when we're starting to dumb ourselves down. We're almost like diving into ignorance, willful ignorance, because we're like, we're not gonna look at this genocide over here, we're just gonna keep focused over here. Well, you're gonna miss the whole show at that point, you know what I mean? So in order for us really to work as a team and work as a community and to sort of right the wrongs that have happened, we have to look at the whole picture. Not just the part that appeases us. That's what I'm trying to say, like, too. We can't just sit in spaces like this where everybody agrees. We also, like my group, we go out into areas where nobody agrees with us and talk to people that are like, get over there, we hate you, but those are the more productive spaces in a way, because, we gotta talk to that guy, the one that hates me. I gotta find the one guy in the room that hates me, and I gotta make that guy listen. But with humanity, we can do those things. We can't cherry pick things, these atrocities, they happened. And I know that a lot of settlers are like, but I didn't do that. No, you didn't. So quit making it your identity. You're absolutely right, you didn't. So don't make it your whole identity. Why were you making it your whole identity if you didn't do those things? How about we move on? We move forward. And we're not talking about erasure. What we're talking about is acknowledging all of the things and then changing them over to make a better day for all people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And you said that you said it very clearly. They're not trying to erase anything.
Right. Nope.
The erasure already happened to their people. That's very humbling and generous. I'm not trying to erase anything. They're not trying to erase anything. They're trying to acknowledge of like, hey, this erasure happened.
Wonderful night.
How do we fix it?
What?
You know,
Can't erase me. I'm still here. Just for anybody that wants to try it. I'm still here.
I'm not sure if this will come out correctly, but I liked your question, and I know a lot of people, I get to see those signs and they really freak me out. And it kind of shut me up because they felt so forever, and I really appreciated the approach you took and kind of the statement about how what Fort Bragg as a name, how, as somebody that's not from here with their roots sees that name and all the things it carries with it. That to me was probably one of the best statements I've heard about how to approach someone that's saying, well, who are you? You've only been here 10 years. Why should you be talking about changing our community?
Right.
And you're kind of like, yeah, I've only been here 10 years. No, I guess I better shut up. So I feel like you really gave me something to go back.
Thank you. Thank you. Take it and grow with it, roll with it, just roll with it. Keep chugging in it and tell
I
everybody.
won't know girl like you.
Yeah, Res roll it.
We'll all roll.
we can teach classes.
Yeah, we teach classes at how to do it, and everyone's saying how to res roll.
Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you.
I just wonder, could you tell us the name that was this area?
Do you know the former name? I don't know the former name.
Yeah, I don't know it, so.
I don't know how to say it correctly.
We'll have to ask the Northern Pomo, that question, and then we have to find their culture keeper and their history keeper. You guys have to understand too, we weren't all privileged to the history and knowledge because, well, we were illegal for a time, and, things had to be hush hush. We don't have the generations and generations of stories all the time. We're putting those pieces together now. And so, yeah, we haven't always been privileged to those, but I do want to talk to the Sherwood and some of the Pomo people of Sherwood and find out a little more about this. I was just asked to speak here because they do have a lot of feelings about name changes across the country, not just here, but across the country. It's time for us to move into a new era now.
I actually have a question for the organizers.
Sure.
I read on the website that Pomo people did not want it named after, in their language. Is that true? Where'd you get that from?
Where'd you get that from? I think that's a good thing to talk about. And I think the point has already been made that just like any other group, Pomo people have all different kinds of opinions about most everything, right? And
We are individual human beings.
Again.
Imagine that, right? Not just only you, but us too.
There were a local Pomo on the Citizens Commission that was appointed by the city council to look into the issue of the name change. And there was many opinions, as there were Pomo people on that commission. One of the Pomo people said, keep the name so that you're ashamed of it every day you have to say it.
That comes from a place of hurt. That comes
Yes.
from a place of hurt.
Yes.
I need you guys to understand that. That comes from a place of hurt. A loss of hope there.
And there was another Pomo person who said, we don't want you using our language to name land that was stolen from us.
That's supposed to be one too, right? The only way to do this is to bring them, the ones that want to participate, to the table and sit up until we figure it out. I know America's down with the schedules and be on time in this, and I'm trying to break that as well because I've been pushed into it as well. But the thing is, things this serious are going to take some time. Just has to be a group of people that are willing to sit up and really listen and really just collaborate. And as Pomo people, I think we've always historically been willing to sit at the table and collaborate. It's just, our voices usually aren't heard. So now we have to bring in the microphones.
And just us, as people who live in this town, I think it's really important that we do the work, show up. There's a great resource, Redbud Resource Center, I believe. That's what it is, Rose. Contact me if you want me to send you the link. It's all the open to the public indigenous events that are happening in this community. In Mendocino County, Sherwood Valley does events all the time. They're doing an event tomorrow. 10 to 4. And they need help with their garden. How better to give back? Go help with their garden. Then you can meet folks.
The dancers in that Mendocino Arts.
Oh yeah, the Kelp Festival. Which, hey, they were doing a Kelp Festival. Did they have indigeneity in it for a moment? No. It took a little more judgment. Thank goodness for people on the Mendocino Arts Council and Monique Sanoki, to push the things even more. It's like,
That's a very big part of our diet.
yes. And so
And also the Native Expo in October.
yeah, the Native Expo is happening. There's many events for you to show up humbly, purchase stuff, don't ask questions, get to know folks. Don't come off the back asking questions. Get to know folks. But that means you've got to go out there and do the work. You have to do the work. There's a lot of people in here that have done the work and are reaching out to our tribal relatives and making relationships so you can be at the table and have these discussions. You live on these lands. Now, and wouldn't it be better to create spaces to be able to do some deep healing, not only for them, but for yourself? I'm healing,
I have a wonderful friend, and her daughter sits in this audience, who went on a journey to find her roots so she could do deep healing. And she came back with a beautiful story of connection with her people, but also some trying and tribulations. It's the reality. But then I think doing that work brings us closer together, because then we can undo the weaving that has happened, the harm of the fabric of this earth. It's damaged. Why? Because we as a people are continuing toxicity on our water, our plants, each other, and we gotta stop.
Ourselves.
Yes.
Ourselves.
All right, well, thank you all for coming. We are committed to doing the work. Thank you, Tanda Blueberry.
Thank you for having me, I appreciate it, thank you.